Okay, so today is Monday, the 9th of June, 2025. It's a public holiday, so I think that's why our numbers are a bit low, but I believe along the line more people will join. And for those who may end up missing it, definitely we'll post a link in the WhatsApp group so that you can watch it over again. So we're having an analysis session. We check the fundamentals, then we'll go over to the charts to see the technicals. Now, fundamentally, today is going to be a very quiet day, very, very quiet, because you can see right on the screen that majority of these countries are going to be on holiday, just like we are in Nigeria. Switzerland is having a national holiday today, so the banks are on holiday. Same thing, the Eurozone too, you know, French bank, German bank, they are all having a national holiday today. So there's going to be a lot of quietness in the market on the CHF pairs, on the Europeans. And, generally Monday is a quiet day. So by extension, even the other countries that are not listed here, there might still be some quietness, from those other countries. Please, as you join this class, kindly mute your devices so that we don't get any distraction. So, like I said, for those who are just joining, because I can see more people are joining, this today is likely going to be a very quiet day in the market. Volatility may be low, and that's because of the holiday that is going on in Switzerland and the Eurozone. And couple with the fact that today, generally globally, we have a lot of Muslim friends doing their holiday. I mean, Nigeria is, we're celebrating it today, and I believe for some other countries, same thing. And usually because Mondays is generally a quiet day, that may, by extension, lead to more quiet movement in the market today. But then we'll still see what the chart holds so that we can be guided. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll just mention the key events. We don't have any high impact event tomorrow. For the high average earning index and the claim account change, both of them are medium impact events combined together could give some volatility on the British pound tomorrow morning by 8 a.m. And that's the only event for Tuesday. So let's take note of that. And on Wednesday, we're going to be having CPI from the United States. The core CPI, the CPI monthly, and the CPI yearly coming up on Wednesday. This is really going to be volatile, so watch out. We're trading it live again, just like we traded NFP on Friday. So watch out for that on Wednesday. And on Thursday, there'll be gross domestic product from the United Kingdom by 7 a.m., followed by the core PPI and PPI in the United States and the unemployment claims. So volatility is expected 7 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. on Thursday. And on Friday, we have the prelim UOM consumer sentiment and prelim UOM inflation expectations. Both are high impact and will lead to volatility by 3 p.m. on Friday. So that's all we have for fundamentals this week. Not so much, but then a lot of them are high impact, at least from Wednesday down to Friday. Let's take note of the time for this event so that we can be guided when you're trading. All right, I'll switch over now to the chat so that we can see what we have technically for the week. And I'll start with the dollar index. Now, the data from NFP last week came out good for the dollar, and that tells us that fundamentally we have some strength on the dollar. However, from a technical point of view, the dollar index is still trading around this support level on the weekly time frame. We're still trading around the support level on the weekly time frame. And like I said last week, we are expecting a bullish movement. And if we see that bullish movement, technically it means we also assess the formation of a double bottom pattern. That, analogy or analysis is still very much standing. Another reason why we believe the dollar will buy this week is because the candle that closed last week closed as a rejection candle on the support zone. So technically, we are still very much bullish on the dollar. Now, however, because today we have quite some, some countries having their bank holidays, like I said, we may have some slow movement in the market, and that may lead to some retracement on some of the pairs that dollar pairs that otherwise would have bought. We may still end up seeing them, probably sell slightly, up until the time comes when there is enough bullish volatility to drive the market. So we check the USD CHF. USD CHF, just like the dollar index, is actually bullish. But currently, you can see it looks like it's bearish, But then on a closer look, we'll also see that earlier on it was forming a double bottom pattern. Now, because it's bearish does not mean we place a sell trade. Please take note of that. We still maintain our bullish outlook despite whatever we are seeing on the chart. So, what is going to be our expectation for this instrument? Two things I would say. Since we hold a bullish outlook, then we may see a reversal here for price to break out above the neckline and still go bullish. That is a possibility. Another possibility is that price may drop to this support and at that point form a triple bottom pattern, then buy from there. Those are the two possibilities. Regardless of what we're seeing, we are still bullish. Bearish trade is not for us. Or we say we hold on when we analyze the market, we hold on to our analysis. Don't say because, oh, I'm seeing red candle, so let me just sell to this level. Except it gives, we say, confirmation for a sell, which could be maybe a head and shoulder pattern or a double top pattern. We're not going to sell. Just wait for either a reversal above here or then price drops here to the support level and break out from there. So either ways, we're still very much bullish on the dollar. So we're bullish on the USDC for this week. And that takes us also to USD CAD, which is still equally a dollar-based pair, where the dollar is the base currency. For the USD CAD, our bullish outlook from last week still remains. Last week we had this outlook where we said price was bouncing off the trend line on the weekly time frame. That's a price making higher highs. Even if we try to draw the trend line towards this region here, it's still the same thing. So price has been making a series of higher highs and higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. The next wave is a higher high movement. And not only that, the last week candle closed also as a rejection candle. This is technically, we still look for a bullish movement, which is in line with what we saw on the dollar index. And if we flip down to the daily time frame, we're really not seeing much other than the fact that two candles earlier was a rejection candle, which still supports that bullish movement. And the last Friday candle was actually a bullish candle also. So we take it down to 4 hour. So we take it down to the 4 hour time frame. And what I can see coming at the moment is still not so clear, but I'm seeing what looks a lot like an inverse head and shoulder. Now, this will depend a lot on the level of volatility today. If it forms perfectly, all well and good. If not, we'll be patient till it forms. And we have the falling wedge pattern also. So with a proposed or a pattern that is still forming an inverse head and shoulder, we still look out for a bullish breakout on the USD CAD. However, for us to trigger and buy in this, we're going to wait for our RSI to be clearly above 15. That is very, very important. And price also needs to break out above the recent high, which is this one here. So if price reverses and completes the inverse head and shoulder, breaks out above the eye, RSI above 15, yes, that will give us clarity to trigger a buy on the USD CAD. But like I said, because volatility is low today, we may end up still seeing some, retracement before that happens. But either ways, the only trade we're looking out for on the USD CAD is a bullish breakout so that we can trigger a buy the USD CAD. All right, so since we are bullish on the dollar, then it means that pairs like the Euro USD, GBP USD, AUD USD, New Zealand USD, we're going to be bearish on all of them. And that is very, very correct if we're doing that, because if you look at the Euro USD on the weekly time frame, price is trading around the resistance level on the weekly time frame. It's a valid resistance level on the weekly. And the candle that closed last week closed as a rejection candle. So technically, we're looking for a bearish movement. And if that happens also, then technically we're going to be seeing the formation of a double top pattern here, which will lead to a longer movement in the market. But that's not really our focus on. Our focus is a bearish direction of the Euro USD. So we'll take it down to the 4 hour time frame. And okay, let's start with the daily. It's still doing top down. Okay, nothing much except the fact that there was a previous rejection candle here, which is an indication of a bearish movement. And Friday, you can see that bearish, slight bearish movement on Friday. So today now, or this week, rather, this week on a 4 hour. So on a 4 hour time frame, I'm seeing also the possible formation of a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and a drop. Along with the fact that we also can see a rising wedge pattern that is forming. So all things being equal, if this works out just like this analysis, we are going to have a bearish outlook on the Euro USD. And to trigger a sell, we need to wait for price to clearly break out below this minor support zone, which is the neckline region or the recent low. We need to see price break out clearly below that low with our RSI clearly below 50. So we're bearish on the Euro USD for this week. And same thing we're having on the GBP USD. So I won't bother going to the weekly. Also seeing a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and we're anticipating a drop. Again, we will look for price to clearly break out below this recent low. RSI clearly below 50. All right, so that's it on the dollar. We're bullish on the USD CHF, the USD CAD, and we're bearish on the Euro USD and the GBP USD. Now I'll take a look at gold and BTC. Now for gold. So we're bullish on the dollar, but then currently gold seems to be having a separate outlook. And as a technical trader, we have to respect what we're seeing. Now, gold is on this trading on this trend line, making a series of higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and it's back on the trend line for higher low again. And the current candle for today on the daily time frame, it's looking a lot like it's a rejection candle. Now, the day is still very young. Anything can happen in the course of today. So let's take it down to the 4 hour. See. All right. So on the 4 hour, what we're seeing is a kind of a bullish engulfing. That's the closest this looks like. Looks like a lot like a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. And we'll take it down to 1 hour again. And it looks a lot like it's trying to form an inverse head and shoulder for a ride up. Now, doesn't mean if dollar is bullish, we'll go be bullish. Yeah, there are exceptions. That can happen for many reasons. And if you joined us earlier, I also said for the dollar index that is bullish, we may see some bearish movement today because of the low volatility. So I already explained that. So if dollar is bullish, but we can see some retracement because of low volatility, then that retracement will lead, which is bearish on the dollar, will lead to a bullish movement on gold. So gold may end up forming an inverse head and shoulder. Now, an inverse head and shoulder means that even with the current price level now, we'll still expect some slight bearish movement before we eventually see the bullish breakout. So what I would advise you to for gold, like I said, there should be, or there's likely to be some slight bearish movement to complete the second shoulder while we wait for price to break out above the neckline region. So if price breaks out above the neckline region, at least price will target this upper trend line. That area is an area of interest. So we hold a bullish outlook on gold, even if it's a short term one. That's what we're seeing currently on the chart for today, and that's an intraday setup. Most of the setup I've been showing you, they are all swing because that's what the market is giving. But this one is an intraday setup on gold, slight bullish movement on gold. And finally, I'll look at BTC USD. Now, BTC USD, if you followed my analysis last week, I was excited when I was seeing, a head and shoulder form resistance level on the weekly time frame. All right, so there's a weekly. This is okay. Sorry, yeah, this is the resistance on the weekly, and on the daily, we saw the formation of a shoulder head, a second shoulder. However, price reversed. There was a sharp reversal here, very very sharp one. I think on Thursday of Friday, there about we're analyzing that possibly before the day close, maybe we will see some sell, but then it didn't happen. We ended up the day with a full grown bullish candle. The market can be funny sometimes. So as a trader, we follow the market where it's going. We don't really have a decision of our own. So since we experienced a complete reversal of this candle, and this ended up forming what looks a lot like a tweezer top. Well, it means the market is still more tired of the uptrend because we thought there was going to be a reversal to the downtrend, but then the market seems still very, very bullish. So what do we go? I will take you down to the 4 hour, and on the 4 hour time frame, I can see that price actually hits a support, which it will not break out below. So we have a valid support here, very, very valid support. That's what drove price back up. And currently, price is trying to form an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which will now at least hit this resistance on the weekly. And if the volatility is strong, well, we're already on the bull run on BTC. It may break above, that region. It may break above 110, an iron. So it looks like BTC is ready to launch for another major breakout. We will see price go above the recent high. All things being equal. But then the first area to target is that resistance zone. So if it breaks out above $11,000 by BTC, we might be getting set to see the highest level of BTC ever in history. But then let's just watch out and see how this goes. So for this week, we are bullish. So like I said, there is the possibility of a retracement first to complete the second shoulder before the breakout into this resistance, breakout to this main resistance level again, and possibly above. So we're bullish on BTC for the day. It's a swing setup. All right, so that'll be all from my end. I'll do a little recap. I said I'm bullish on the dollar this week. I'm bullish on the dollar index, and by extension, I'm bullish on the USD CHF and the USD CAD. I'm bearish on the Euro USD GBP, all of them soon. And I said it because volatility is low. Even though we're bullish on the dollar, we might see some retracements, slight sell this week. I mean, at least today, before price decides to go into the main direction when volatility returns to the market. And I'm bullish on BTC for this week. And today I'm bullish on gold. All right. So let me take the first I'm seeing morning. That's going to check GDP JPY. All right, so this is GBJPY. We had a bearish outlook on the GBJPY last week due to what we saw in the chat. So for some reasons, excuse me. Some reasons the market didn't go bearish all week long. So price returned back to the earlier resistance level. So price is back to that previous resistance level. So maybe this week and more like a triple top here. So possibly we may experience that reversal this week, possibly on the GBP JPY. Price is back to the resistance on the daily. Let's check out our 4-hour and our 1 hour. Okay, now let me take it down to 15 minutes. Okay. The 1 hour is a little clearer. All right, so this is what I'm seeing on 1 hour. It looks like price is trying to give us a reversal pattern. Shoulder ahead, possibly a second shoulder and a drop. So let's still watch out for the bearish break on the GBP JPY this week, especially today. So we have a rising wedge pattern over there. Price currently is approaching, RSI rather is approaching 50. With RSI at 50 and MACD still very strongly bullish, we may see a retracement back to the resistance zone, then a drop from there. So I still hold the bullish out, a bearish outlook on the GBP JPY. So let's have the minor support level there so that if price bounces up, then we'll wait for a breakout below that support. With RSI now clearly below 50, the bigger is sell on the GBP JPY. US oil. I purposely held on for US oil. I want to see more, not more clarity, but I wanted to break certain levels before I talk about it. But I have the analysis on it. But since you asked, I'll show you what my thoughts are. Now, this is US oil on the daily time frame. Now, this is US oil on the daily time frame. You can clearly see that price, price has been on a downtrend in recent time. And at the point, we saw some retracement. And currently, we're seeing a falling wedge pattern. Now, usually, a falling wedge pattern is a pattern that will lead to a bullish breakout, technically. But then price also is forming what looks, though not a perfect one, looks like an inverse head and shoulder, and also price returned now to a previous support zone, which is now becoming a resistance. Technically, with the falling wedge pattern and the inverse head and shoulder, we're ready for a long-term bullish breakout on US oil. But also, we'll not ignore the fact that price returned back to a previous support formed resistance. So that's why we have that, rectangle box in that region. So if price is able to break out, now this is now a confluence region where we have downtrend and uptrend meeting. Two things could either happen here. Now, price returning to this support on resistance zone could drop price back to retest this trend line before a breakout. That's a possibility. Or if there's sufficient volatility this week and price is able to break out above this box, yes, then that means we're getting ready for a major bullish breakout on the US oil. And don't forget, if the US oil actually goes bullish, it also means that globally will be getting ready for increase in the price of crude oil. That's the truth. For some time in Nigeria, it's like there's been a drop in the price of crude oil. It's all these things, the drop we're seeing on the chart that was responsible for that, not because our government was doing anything extra, anything special. So if price goes up and breaks out above that resistance zone and the falling wedge is able to do its work, because now for the falling wedge pattern also, RSI is clearly above 15 at 58, MACD is above zero. Technically, this guy is getting ready for a massive breakout in the bullish direction, but we have to respect the levels, and that's why we're just cautious around the zone. But if it breaks out, well, that would be a long-term bullish breakout on US oil, which may affect global prices of crude oil. So let's just take note of that. And if that happens, somebody has been asking me to show the Fibonacci levels. So let me just give us an insight into that. If that happens, using Fibonacci levels, we may end up seeing price targets. At least the first level will be Fibonacci 50, which will be $68 per barrel for crude oil, and or $70 per barrel for system for level 61.8. But then eventually maybe as high as about $80 per barrel. But then that's in the coming days. Let's not bother ourselves. And that's why for the person asking, I'm not dropping Fibonacci levels. These are still patterns that are forming. Sometimes people get agitated when you drop those levels and they may end up placing a trade. What I'm giving us today is still analysis. They are yet to mature into signal. So that's why I don't. If it's a signal, yes, I'll give you all the levels, but it's still in the analysis stage. I wanted to cross some level so that, some of us are, how do I put it? They are so eager to place a trade. So I don't want to, make people do that. That's why I'm not giving those levels. I will see a seller that is ready to, to be traded. Definitely will give us the levels for that. And I'm still saying the same thing. Gold is still in analysis phase. It's still not confirmed as a signal yet. But it's like you want me to give, so I will oblige you. But please take note, it's not yet a signal. Until gold, this is gold on 1 hour, until it sells a little for retracement and breaks out above the neckline, it is not yet a signal. What we are saying at the moment is still analysis. Before we have a signal, the first thing is analysis. And sometimes people get it mixed up when you analyze and they believe you are giving a signal. It's not even a signal. An analysis may turn out to be a signal or not. But before every signal, there will be an analysis. Now, if you analyze about 5 instruments, about 3 or 4 of them might become a signal. So it's the signal that you now take eventually, but the analysis prepares you to know the direction the market will go. And that's basically what analysis is all about, being able to forecast the direction of the market so that you're taking the pre-informed decision when eventually buying or selling. So now you can see that gold is actually also trading. You have a critical level above it, which is Fibonacci 23.6. It coincides with the neckline, which is this resistance region here. So that tells you we have a double reason to believe price will retrace. If you look at the candle for gold already, it's already dropping slightly, just like I said, will likely happen around that region. That's the current candle. Let's take it down to 30 minutes. You can see it's dropping. Now, that is dropping. I did not say sell. Please take note. So wait patiently for the pattern to form. So I'm expecting a retracement, then a breakout. So if it eventually breaks out, we might look at Fibonacci 38.2 as our profit taking level. Because there's still a trend line above also, but then let's not bother with that. So we can look at that region. So if it breaks out above Fibonacci 38 Fibonacci 3.6, let's give some bridging space of a few pips. So Fibonacci 38.2 can give as much as 135 pips if that breakout happens. So you can just watch out for that and let's see how it goes. All right. Benedicta is asking for GBP AUD. Welcome, Elsnat. Now, last week or in the middle of the previous week, a lot of the pins in the market have been ranging a lot. So even for dollar, it's NFP that seems to break them out, at least the major pairs. So GBAUD is still in a kind of a range, even on the daily time frame. You can see volatility has been very, very low. How do you know when volatility is low? When you start seeing all these small candles, like here now, that was volatility. You can see the big candles. You can see the big candles. But when they're so tiny, like you are seeing here, it means volatility is low. And when volatility is low, that's a range. Market, you may enter a buy, it turns to a sell, enter a sell, it turns to a buy. It just look like the market is in a state of indecision. So at such period, you have to trade with a lot of caution. If you're not yet on a trade on GPAED, I may say just stay. But if you're already on a trade, well, let's see. Now, even though the volatility is low, price also hit a support level right here on the daily time frame. This is still a support level, and 4 hour. Yeah, you can see it's a valid support level. And 4 hour is still valid as a support, so we'll take it down to 1 hour. On 1 hour time frame, we still have the support with the last candle here being a rejection candle, which is already signaling the possibility of a bullish movement. Probably take it down to 15 minutes time frame, giving a clearer setup on 15 minutes. So we have a trend line there that will anticipate that price should break. And aside the trend line, there's equally a minor resistance zone here. So we want to wait for price to break out above. Yeah, it has broken out above this trend line. So we're anticipating a breakout above this resistance. RSI is already above 50, so that's a good one. MACD also is trying to cross above zero. That's equally a good one. Even from a closer look now, this is looking like a double bottom pattern, which may trigger price. But most importantly, you need to wait for price to break out above that this new resistance zone here. A new candle needs to open above this zone for you to trigger a buy on GPAUD. So yeah, we are bullish on GPAUD, but trade with caution. Volatility may be low in the market today. Okay, Masolani, what's the procedure to sell an account PU Prime? Now, firstly, if you are asking for yourself, for you to be in this analysis session this morning, how do you get the link? If you got the link by being on the WhatsApp group of PU Prime, then possibly somebody from PU Prime has reached out to you before. So somebody has called you or sent you a WhatsApp chat or an SMS message on PU Prime before, go back to that chat and contact that person. They will send you, that person is likely your account manager of PU Prime. Contact that person, they'll give you the link to register with PU Prime because these groups are not so general like that. They are leads from previous adverts that PU Prime has done. So if you're in this group, it's not by accident. PU Prime has contacted you at one time or the other. But if that looks a little bit complex to you, it's not a problem. Just go back to our website, www.puprime.com, that open a live trading account there. So I just dropped the link to the website below. All right, Benedicta. Okay, you're welcome, Benedicta. So I think we're rounding up. Madam Onaji, GBP card. Mr. Joe Bilano, fair value gap. I do price action. I don't do SMC and others. So there are different schools of thought when it comes to forex trading. I belong to price action group. So there is a SMC, the smart money concept, and other groups like that. So the terminologies are not exactly the same. So I really want to never look up. We are all in the same industry, but have different views, to the market, and they are all globally acceptable. And if you go and check, price action is one of the top, ways to analyze the market. It's been around for long and very, very consistent. So you may just go on maybe ChatGPT and type thing and look up, will surely give you, the explanation for it. All right, so GBP card. I will still have this key level, this major resistance on the weekly time frame, still very valid. You're welcome, sir. So it looks like price is trying now. Technically, we should be bearish. And these are the pairs that we had a bearish outlook on last week because of the structure that we saw. But then price just didn't go bearish because the previous week, this is a reversal pattern the previous week. But then, like I said, market was ranging in the better part of last week. In a ranging market, it means there is no sufficient volatility to drive price downwards. So instead of price really selling, it's rather has been ranging and looks like it's trying to buy. All right, so that's the previous week. Now let's look at what's happening this week. Go down to the daily. Now it looks like it's trying to buy, but I will say do that with a lot of caution because if price hits this resistance level, it may reverse to itself. So let's still hold on to that bearish outlook on this pairs, especially the GBP pairs, except for the GBP. For the GBP pair, we're bearish. We've seen it as a bearish setup, and that's valid. So for the GBP card, really AUD is still bearish. We are still bearish, regardless of whatever the market is showing at the moment. So what I will advise you do is this: we'll draw a trend line and we'll anticipate a reversal. Price may still go ahead to hit the resistance before dropping. So that's why we do analysis. We're not emotional with the market. We don't say, oh, the market look like it's buying, so I should buy. No, there must be valid reasons why you're buying or selling. There are valid patterns that we will see that will give you the confidence. It's okay, fine, it's time to buy or sell. So if by analysis we are seeing on the weekly time frame that the instruments will sell, even though it looks like it's buying, we need to stay out because the reversal can occur at any time, and price may end up still going in that direction. So if you enter a buy now and price decides to reverse, you will have a losing trade. So wait for price to break out below this trend line for you to trigger a sell on the GBP card. And that's on the 4-hour. That's a swing setup.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Jibola Olawale, I've analyzed BTC. We are bullish on BTC, but then we're looking for certain patterns to form completely an inverse and shoulder. You may just watch the video again. I'll drop the link after this session so they can have a clearer view of what we have analyzed on the BTC. All right, that'll be all for the analysis session. For those who joined us late, the market may be slow today because some of the countries are on holiday, like Switzerland and the Eurozone. They're on holiday, and maybe some other countries are on holiday because of the Muslim break. So we may experience some slow movement in the market today. So to put a lot of caution. All right, so we're in the analysis here. Do trade silver and have a go to read ahead. Bye-bye. Welcome, man.